It's Wednesday, April 3rd, and time for your Barbados Today Morning News Update. Thanks for joining us. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. The proposed amendments to the Bail Act get the thumbs down from some members of the legal fraternity. Attorney General Dale Marshall yesterday announced that changes to the legislation will ensure persons who appear before the court for murder or firearm offenses would not be eligible for bail within 2 years after being charged, except in special circumstances. Attorneys at law Verla de Pisa and Queen's Counsel Andrew Pilgrim have questioned the effectiveness of such a measure, with de Pisa describing it as a knee-jerk reaction.
The Privy Council and the CCJ have both been very clear and jealously guarding the separation of powers between the judiciary and the executive. In particular, they have struck down anything that looks like it is tampering with the autonomy of the judiciary. All right. I'm thinking about sentences that are at Her Majesty's pleasure. They have gone by the wayside. I'm thinking about mandatory sentencing for firearms. That too has been struck down. And most recently, the mandatory death penalty. In that vein then, keeping anybody for 2 years before they can be granted bail flies in the face of these decisions that have already been made.
De Pisa, who is also the leader of the Democratic Labour Party, says the amendments could be seen as tampering with the autonomy of the judiciary.
There's a feeling in the country. There's a feeling in the country, and we can't get away from that. But what we cannot do is also step aside from our obligations to the country. We understand the feeling, but we can't be making legislation based on feelings. If there's one thing you need to be is dispassionate when making legislation, to make sure that you have all of the right considerations in mind at the time. So I think they need to go and come again. And this is one of the problems with making a knee-jerk decision. You tend to get it wrong. They need to go and come again.
Meantime, Pilgrim tells Barbados Today he believes the move was reactionary. He says a person was presumed innocent until proven guilty. Society is to blame for the current crime crisis in the country, so says Minister of Creative Economy, Culture and Sports, John King, who maintains that those responsible for helping raise decent young men have failed them. Speaking during debate on the Bail Amendment Bill 2019 in Parliament yesterday, King said while he supported the new legislation, he did so with a heavy heart. He said the fact that young men were murdering each other was an indictment on the entire country.
But the time is coming, all of us must be involved in this particular conversation, because the young people who are dying and the young people who are committing these acts of murder were born and raised in this society, by this society. And they belong to us, like it or not. And the blame falls squarely on our shoulders because we have failed.
He, however, took the opportunity to make an impassioned plea to the country's youth.
My father, a man named Harvey King, he told me many years ago, son, do not be a willing participant in your own demise. I will never forget as long as I live. I want to pass on that bit of wisdom to the young men in this country. Do not participate in your own demise. The person who brings the gun for you already knows what the outcome of it is going to be. One, you are either going to shoot somebody, or somebody who knows that you carry a gun is going to shoot you. The second part of it is, you may shoot somebody, but as long as you go to prison, your life also is over.
Parents and relatives who know their loved ones are in possession of illegal guns have been told to hand those firearms over to police. In fact, Minister of Home Affairs Edmund Hinkson believes that there are also too many licensed gun dealers in Barbados. His advice to turn over the illegal weapons came on the heels of the announcement of a one-week gun amnesty from April 7 to 13.
1 week, sir, is long enough time. When you multiply 7 by 24, sir, you get what? 168 hours, sir. We only take 1 hour, sir, to walk to the nearest police station and bring in your gun, sir. And we are urging, sir, the relatives, those who live at home where the guns are, sir, to bring them in too. Don't be frightened for your son, your grandson, your nephew, sir. You are protecting him when you do this. When you bring in the guns, the bullets, the ammunition, whatever, sir. 168 hours. We've had gun amnesties in the past, sir. They have not been as successful as the police had hoped they would be. Let's hope that this one is more successful.
The highly anticipated elections of the National Union of Public Workers Executive Committee will be held today. President Akani McDowell will be seeking to be re-elected to the post of presidency. However, he is expected to receive a stern challenge from current First Vice President Fabian Jones, who is also contesting the post, as well as Farrell Scott.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
In news from the region, 4 government legislators in Guyana, including Vice President and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Carl Greenidge, tendered their resignations to President David Granger. A brief government statement said President Granger received and accepted the resignations on Monday, and members will not be returning to Parliament when it reconvenes on April 11. The High Court and Court of Appeal ruled earlier this year that legislators who hold dual citizenships were not qualified to be members of Parliament, in keeping with the Guyana Constitution. The 4 ministers affected by the ruling are Minister of State Joseph Harmon, who holds both Guyanese and United States citizenship, Minister of Business Dominic Gaskin, Minister of Public Service Dr. Rupert Rupnarine, and Greenidge, all of whom hold Guyanese and British citizenship. And finally, the global economy is experiencing a delicate moment with growing risks to growth and an unsettled climate. That's according to IMF Managing Director Christine Lagarde, who cites trade tensions and geopolitical uncertainty surrounding Brexit as some of the reasons for the loss in momentum of global growth.
Only 2 years ago, 75% of the global economy experienced an upswing. So it was a synchronized growth acceleration. For this year, we expect not 75, but 70% of the global economy to experience a slowdown in growth. Exactly the opposite of what we had. But, just to be clear, we do not see a recession in the near term. In fact, we expect some pickup in growth in the second half of 2019 and into 2020. So you see now what I mean by unsettled. And indeed, the global economy is at a delicate moment.
And that's news. But for the very latest, visit our website at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook. and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on ISOB Media bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM. I'm Fernella Wedderburn. Good morning.